Hey folks, hello everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining our meeting today. So before we start, we're just going to do a round of intros. So I'll start with myself. My name is Xavier Espana. I'll be facilitating, helping with note-taking and translating to Spanish.
Hi everybody, Raymond here with Debug. I'm formerly incarcerated. I'm here to help facilitate, note-take, and offer any advice I can.
Just a reminder, the way these things work, we ask if you are new to our meetings that you type out your email into the chat, or when we call on your name, you can just spell it out loud for us so we can make sure we send you a copy of notes. A reminder that we are not attorneys, so we do not give out legal advice. Although this is a trusted space, we ask that you do not share too much of the details of the arresting incident or details of the case. And we go in the order of the list, so the way that you entered will go in that order. We're going to start off by calling out all the names that we see in the Zoom, and we're going to ask you to state who you're here supporting. And then once we have the list established, we'll go ahead and start.
I was reaching out, looking for some help for my loved one who was going through the injustice system. He had just gotten arrested and was in the county jail. I was anxious and nervous to put my loved one's information out there because I didn't know who I was talking to, but I started joining the groups every Tuesday. Immediately when we got there, the first thing that Damon says is everyone at the table has gone through the injustice system or dealing with the injustice system. Damon in the group explained to me, we're going to be with you the whole way through. We're not going to give up. As long as you show up, we show up and we support you no matter how long it takes, no matter how quick it takes, we'll be there. My loved one who was dealing with the situation, he didn't have that support, but for me to report to him every time he called me to tell him, you have a lot of people standing behind you. I think we can do it. He was ready to just whatever, they're going to give me the time that they're going to give me. And I'm just no. We're not doing that. My loved one, he was facing up to 44 years in prison originally. But then after a few court dates and his public defender requesting to lower the sentencing, it went down to 12 years, which was still a significant amount of time, and we still weren't satisfied with that. I was creating a social bio PowerPoint for him, which consisted of a list of his future prospects, his past accomplishments, his past hardships. It also consisted of some support letters from his family and friends and community members, and just people giving him his flowers over the years of knowing him, just trying to humanize him and show that he's much more than the case that he was charged with. And I feel like that really impacted the judge's decision, because at one point the judge denied giving my loved one drug court, which he requested. So after seeing the support, I feel like the judge agreed to giving him the drug court, and instead of him getting 12 years in prison, he ended up doing 1 month in prison, and then he was released to treatment. We saved 44 years with him, and he currently comes to the meetings with me every Tuesday to help support others. It actually feels like a family. I'm just going to meet with my family just to touch base with them and make sure everybody's okay. That's how it feels every Tuesday that we meet. It just feels good. It warms my heart. I won't stop doing it.
DJ and I didn't really formally start working with each other until his attorney came to our family group meeting that we have, and she had seen us help others of her clients. And so she says, you know what? I have a client I really care about. I want to get him out. We start figuring this thing out. So how to get DJ home.
I found out that there was people trying to support me and trying to help me. One day I was going I think it was like a court, and then they showed up on the Zoom. They were talking to me. They was talking to the judge and stuff. It felt good to know that there was people out there that was trying to help me be better, get out and leave the stuff that I was doing alone.
And so a lot of the strategy was just not letting DJ kind of get washed away in this narrative. With there's a lot of stigmatization around, so background where he came from that kind of stuff. And if given the opportunity to come back, to community, here's a pathway that we work with community members and community organizations who are supportive of DJ. So we gave them the strategy was the letters, and then we created this little life map plan thing that we submitted to the court. And then the judge was like, okay, well, show up, talk about what you want to do, talk about the plan. And so we all showed up, and then the judge went favorably. When he had a solid support system in place for himself, he was out the way, there was no more real issues with him. He knew he had people in the community who loved him, and just by nature of having that support system on his own, man, he's been solid and out the way doing good work, and now you got a baby on the way.
The program really helps, they really look out for you.
I think for me, what I've learned through this whole process is one, never underestimate the power of the village, right? When a community comes together and we start pushing this envelope, we've seen miracles happen, right?
He was doing good, working, but then he had this new situation happen in which it would be a bar fight. In others' eyes, self-defense, but because of his background, they labeled it a gang fight.
My original sentence was 27 years. I served 16 years of it.
But what my letter consisted of was what I like to do is shatter the narrative of what a gang member is and what isn't. A lot of times it's seen by DAs or the board or CDCR as that's all that person will ever be and that's all they'll ever do. And so what I do is I like to tell my own story of having been involved in that lifestyle and then who I am today. And then I talk about the individual. Again, in Robert's case, went to talk about his social history, his upbringing, right? His childhood traumas that he went through. And to really paint a picture, right, of different reasons on why this person may have gotten in trouble, rather than, oh, they're just a gang member, right? It really humanizes the person and shows a different picture of what that person has been through in their circumstances.
Last year, about this time, there was a meeting with the DA. She was about to retire. And so then she had a last meeting, Zoom meeting, and she told the families who were online that they looked like some good news was coming to those that they could, but she didn't tell us specifically, and they said that people will be getting back to you. So a few days before Christmas, I got an email saying that they accepted my husband's case to resentence him, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
You don't want to set yourself up for failure to start thinking that you're going to get out, and so you just keep programming until, it got to the point where they said going to court and 7 days you got to give up all your stuff, and that's that.
His case was the first for Alameda County for the type of case, 1170 or whatever it was. His was the first to actually come through and happen. So that was a big deal for the team, to have that happen. And so it's pretty amazing. And we feel special for that and grateful.
I never had to go pick up my dad from prison before. So it was a good experience. We were there in the morning it was nice to be there and be able to accept him as a family.
My husband thought that we should be there at 6 a.m. because he was used to being released early, but it didn't work that way. So it was so cold. We were freezing sitting outside, but I didn't want to go in the car. I just wanted to wait at the gate.
You know, you just kind of don't realize how serious it is until it's the day of and you're actually driving over there, and then you're there and you're just there, and you know, you just kind of just like, man, let's make this happen before they change their mind. You know what I'm saying?
I just been denied my petition for mental health and hygiene, and I also had been denied parole, I believe at that time, for the fifth time. I was the first person in Maryland to be paroled once the governor was taken out of the process. And one of the things that the parole commissioners highlighted was the social biopack, how it was done, how it humanized me, the support letters, the pictures, my achievements. During this time, a legislation that passed, the JRA, the Juvenile Restorative Act, to allow those who were sentenced as juveniles to be able to put a petition in for modification if they qualified. And I was the first person in PG County to be released under the JRA. And one of the things that the judge highlighted was also my social biopacket. My hearing was done via Zoom, and Life After Release was there for court support. I never had a chance to meet any of the members from Life After Release because primarily my aunt was the person who dealt with the core members and stuff. So I just would hear about everyone. But when I had court support and, I didn't know who would be on the screen, and seeing it filled up with all these people and not knowing who they were, it was amazing. Like, wow, all of the support.
I think I met Zach when I was going through trial.
Yeah, I know. That's the first time we've seen
Yeah. I expected him to look like a lawyer or something. When I seen him, I ain't expecting somebody like that looked like kind of like me.
The first time I met Carol was at that first time I met your attorney West. They used to show up online every Tuesday with the same update, like, yo, waiting for West, no updates, don't know if we should fire him, get another one. And finally they set up a date. We just talked about the case, about what evidence they had, what the concerns were. There was disconnect where he was trying to explain certain things to moms and sis about how like the process worked and the argument that he was gonna make. It wasn't really like, there was both like a miscommunication. So I had to like explain the concerns that mom and sister had to Wes, and then also explain what he was saying to the family, because I understand how things work because I've been through a case myself. So
yeah, I was nervous, but at first I was mad because I'm like, man, how am I getting to the point where I'm going through a trial?
Hey, they don't know them.
Oh.
Yeah, they don't know.
Oh. We got a not guilty verdict.
Once I heard it, I kind of was, I really don't get excited sometimes. I was more kind of upset that my co-defendant still got found guilty for manslaughter, even though it could have been way worse. But I thought I kind of visualized us both getting out. I had mixed emotions. I was happy I was going home, of course, but it was more like, I don't know. Cause it was like, you shouldn't even be here. Once I got out the door, it changed. But once I was in there thinking about it, like, man, he should be getting out too.
Arthur was like really humble dude, very honorable. When you have co-defendants, I've seen the district attorney, the justice system have families turn on each other, let alone friends, people that aren't related. It felt good seeing the relief when that verdict came out, and the excitement for Arthur's friend when he heard Arthur's verdict, when he was going to go home. Not a lot of victories occur in those courtrooms for people of color, but that day was a victory for sure.
After fighting the court system for 37 years and getting that final denial from the Ninth Circuit, it was like our hope was beginning to dissipate until Teresa and the Mass Liberation Project came in and restored that hope in full force, And when I heard that I made the pardons board, shit. I just knew I'm free, man. I just knew I'm free. I'm still in prison. But I'm like, man, I'm free because in Nevada, when you make the pardons board, you got a really great chance of getting out, especially if you've been doing the right thing. I'm gonna tell you how God works, right? When I got locked up at 21, finna turn 22 on April the 13th, 1983. I got out the penitentiary because of Mass Lib and Teresa on April the 13th, 2022. That's 39 years flat, every day of it. I got my own car, got my own home, got a good job. Doing the right thing, taking advantage of this second chance at life. Everybody deserves it.
I caught a case during 2020, during COVID, for a simple possession of a firearm, which got blown way out of proportion to a gang enhancement. Every enhancement in the book got thrown at me. And I should have been facing less, like about 6 months, but because the DA wanted to make it a gang case when there was absolutely nothing gang related in the case, I was facing from what should have been about a year or less to, I think the top number that they initially offered me was 22 years. So one of the things that they tried to charge me with was a gang enhancement because I had a Cesar Chavez flag in my room. I also have an American flag and a Mexican flag and a Carpenters Union flag. Like none of that stuff is also gang related,
AB 333 was a reform on the gang enhancement law, which came about in 1988 during a racist time. And the reform was to change the definition of what gang meant. For Leo's case, the law came at exactly the right time and came in effect during the middle of his case. And it impacted the DA's ability to actually charge the gang enhancement. And what we found in the end is that the gang enhancement did not apply to him because of the changes that were made in AB 333. We decided to file Public Records Act with the prisons and see if there was any racial data. Our request, which was just something that we kind of threw out, not expecting much, was actually the first time that any community organization or attorney had gotten race-based data. In California, we know that 97% of people charged and convicted with gang enhancements are Black or brown, and that only 3% or less come from a background that's white. We saw that that data was even worse, that it was closer to 1%, and that when you disaggregated what people called white, it was actually people that we understand as being in Black and brown communities, which are white folks who are kind of within family networks of Black and brown people, but also Middle Eastern people who oftentimes law enforcement group into buckets as Black and brown, but the census data had put them into white. So what we really saw is that there was only one individual in San Mateo County who was not alleged to have crime partners who were Black or brown and who was given a gang enhancement. But of course it was stayed at sentencing. So there was no person in San Mateo County history since 1988 that served a time for a gang enhancement who was white.